doing that. Okay, so now we in with seafood. Oh, okay, in with seafood. I think I'm gonna just do this on my phone now because I don't want to keep fucking doxing people's emails. It's a bad idea. Okay. Welcome, Ian. Hello.
Hi, Liz. Can you hear me?
Yes. So you're gonna tell me about seafood?
I am. First of all, happy birthday.
Thank you.
And I guess the next thing is, do you eat seafood?
Yes, I do eat seafood. I
Okay.
really like seafood.
I do too. I'm from Pensacola, Florida, which is like basically the armpit of Alabama. It's like the furthest northwest you can get in Florida, but it happens to be right along the Gulf Coast. And like, so I lived there for like 20 years. So I got used to very fresh, awesome seafood, like Gulf shrimp, just like coming straight off the boat into this like giant place. Like the most popular place in Pensacola was Joe Patty's. And it was this almost like giant, almost warehouse looking building, but they like all of the seafood came straight into the Gulf, into this place. And it was just always crowded. Do you ever cook, like, how often do you cook seafood?
Frequently, although recently I've been cooking it a little bit more. I've been making some shrimp.
Shrimp. Yeah, I love shrimp. And I will say, since moving up here and into Greenfield, I get shrimp a lot less often because the only place that's like really convenient for me is Big Y. And so like I'm always trying to find like, okay, what's not previously frozen, what's like wild caught, trying to find the best version of the seafood I can. I go to North Shore when I actually feel like making the 30-minute trek to Northampton. But actually, during the summer when there's not a pandemic, my wife and I, we would make trips out to um, like the coast along Maine and New Hampshire and like the eastern part of Massachusetts, and we would just buy tons of seafood, and then we would freeze it ourselves, which we felt a little bit better about for some reason. But um, when you cook it, is it just like a cost thing, or do you know how to like? Is it you're not sure how to prepare or anything?
I'm not a really good cook. So I sort of experiment with cooking very infrequently. I have like the things I know, and then if I try something new, it sort of is a mess. So I would love to hear tips on how to cook seafood too.
I was going to say, because so I always like cooking, and over the years, and especially with the pandemic, I've really focused on cooking and and I can say one of the best things about seafood though is how absolutely easy it is to make. Like there are of course there's some complex recipes you can do, but like just before this call, I made cod for lunch. You can go to like Big Y or most seafood places, especially around here, and they have fresh cod, and you can get it in a fillet or loin. I'm telling you, you need three things to make really good cod, and this works for literally any seafood: scallops, salmon, whatever. You need butter, salt, and pepper. That's it.
Wow.
Because you, with most fish, you actually want, my opinion, you want to taste the fish. I hear a lot of people always say like, "Oh, I don't like fish. I don't like fishy fish," and I get that. I mean, it can be a weird taste, but for me, it's like, well, then what are you eating? Like, go eat steak, go eat vegetables if you don't want it to taste like fish. So I actually just made it for lunch. I had some that I meant to cook for dinner, but then I got lazy last night and didn't want to cook. So it took me 5 minutes. And all you do is you take a pan on like medium heat, melt all the butter till it's nice and foamy, and then season the sides of the fish, just salt and pepper, and then like go with like maybe one other seasoning if you're going for a flavor profile. Like if you're making rice or vegetables or whatever it's going with it, like if you want something to meld nice. But I would never do more than like three. One of the the lessons that I had to learn from all my years of cooking was not over seasoning everything because you
Mhm.
want to taste the food. And so salt, pepper, and like one other seasoning. And that can be a blend of something. Like the one I used was this mash of like, I think it's called a 21 season salute, but
Mhm.
it's a flavor profile they put together, and it's like supposedly 21 different seasonings, but it's a specific taste that goes with all of that. So you can use blends, but like just don't before I would like make steaks and stuff and I would throw on like 6 different seasonings and it just becomes like a flavor mashup that just it's not bad, but again, you're not tasting the food that you want. But so you salt and pepper the fish, and then you just, or again, this works for scallops, salmon. However, if it has skin, after you season it, put the skin side down first. If it doesn't have skin, it doesn't matter. But when it has skin, the the another big lesson it took me a long time to learn with any cooking is patience,
Mm.
especially with steak and fish with skin on it. Is you want it to sit and you want it to get crispy. You'll have like a real big bad urge to like want to flip it constantly so it doesn't like overcook. But realistically, I've never had it overcook, especially with those types of things. If it doesn't have skin, when you put it in 5 minutes, give it some time, maybe lift it up to see if it's getting like brown, flip it another 5 minutes, and you're good to go. And it's like I did it in 5 to 10 minutes before this call. I ate it, and it was delicious. And like fish goes great with everything.
Wow. Those are
Yeah,
great tips. What are the best seafood dishes you've ever had?
I've ever had. So we in like 2015, my family, we all went on a trip to Scotland. And so Scotland's got like all sorts of wonderful seafood because it's got so much coast. um, I think it was in on the island of Skye. I don't remember the town. um, but I got langoustines and I didn't know what they were, which made me want to get them because I'm like, well, if like I would do that. It's like I've never seen it in the US before, so why not try it? And it turns out they're like prawns, like really big shrimp, about this big. So it's like in between a lobster and like a regular small shrimp. And I had the biggest pain in the ass trying to break all of these open to get like the tiniest little piece of meat out of it. But it was in this little village. It was in like an inn, and like it just felt like the most homey meal I've ever had, despite all of the amount of work. And as much as I love seafood, I hate working for my food.
Hmm.
um like I like we'll get crab every so often, and my wife loves taking apart food. So she takes apart all the crab, and I was like, I'll just take all the good bits out of it. I like the meat, but like the idea of having to work for my food always was a turn off. But for whatever reason, that meal was really good. And there was like one 4th of July, we went up to Portland, Maine, which is where my mother-in-law is originally from. So we went up there just to see the sights and check it out. And it was around 4th of July. And so we were on the coast and we found this like really good lobster shack. And I was like, I don't like working for my food, but where else are you going to want to get like an entire whole lobster and just eat it by yourself?
Yeah.
It was like, I could do this in lots of places, but this seems the most perfect place for it.
Hmm.
But really, I love seafood of almost any variety. Like crawfish is another one that's really big down in the south. But that's another one where you have to work for. So if someone's got like a gumbo with crawfish meat in it, I'm all for it. But like again, those are so small that it's not worth the effort of trying to pull them all together for this little chunk of meat. Um, yeah, what's one of your favorites?
I always liked. I had sort of a phase where my favorite sandwich was a fried flounder sandwich with,
Oh, that sounds really good.
yeah, with lettuce and tomato and a ton of tartar sauce. And I grew up outside of Philadelphia, and there was like no fresh seafood, but there was one little like very crappy seafood place called Lou's Dockside, and I had no idea how they did it because it was all really good.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I would always get a flounder sandwich. I really like clam chowder.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that clam chowder
That's not
is, yeah, good to
it's
seek
not so
out.
big in the south, and I think it's because of the amount of cream in there. Like when you've got hot weather most of the year, like drinking a bowl of cream isn't the best thing. But I'm getting my fill of it almost every, well, when I used to go to restaurants. Like yeah, this past year, like before all of the lockdowns, we were like, okay, So we finally have gotten settled with a whole bunch of things. My wife's in a PhD program. I'm settling into my job, blah, blah, blah. We're like, we're going to go just like see places. We're going to go try restaurants like that we've never heard of, and just like go to a town and just pick a place and like try to do little research. And then everything got locked down. And so we're just like,
Mm.
oh, well, I'll just get takeout from like the 5 places around me over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah.
But you can never go wrong. I mean, again, the South is notorious for frying everything, but oh, like we would just like have random Saturdays, like, well, actually, I think there were probably Sundays, just super lazy Sundays after drinking pretty much all weekend and continuing. I was like, well, let's just go buy like, we could buy like 5 pounds of shrimp or more, like $40, $50, like ridiculously cheap. And we would just do a shrimp boil, and like people would come over with beer, and just like it was so readily available, you could do it without like any planning whatsoever. It's like, we're doing this, you show up or not, I'm going to eat all this shrimp if you don't show up. So.
Yeah. Do you have any do you have any controversial seafood opinions?
I think the not working for your food is a little controversial for some people. It's like, because why would you give up crab? I'm like, I haven't given up crab, but I'm just not going to work for it. I don't like tartar sauce. I'm not a mayonnaise based person at all. Like anything with a mayonnaise base, so like seafood salad, tartar sauce, I just can't do it. I don't knock anyone for ever liking it, but don't put it on my sandwich.
Yeah. What do you
Um,
like instead?
Honestly, malt vinegar, ketchup. I do like cocktail sauce, but I'll just like um, I'll kind of do it almost deconstructed tartar sauce. I'll use relish if we've got it. I'll put a little horseradish on there. I mean, but I
Just
think
no mayo,
ketchup's,
basically.
yeah, basically.
Yeah. Horseradish is really good.
I love it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we got 3 minutes left if you have anything else you want to say about seafood.
Let me think of so all of those tips for cooking fish. Scallops are always really good. I always get fresh scallops, mostly fresh scallops from Big Y. They're basically the same, but you want at least a medium to a medium high heat, because you want more of a flash cook. Because especially with scallops, you can get really big ones, and it gives you some wiggle room as far as like overcooking them. But if you get the really small ones, they're done by the time you put more scallops on the pan. But you want something that'll do. If if you know your stove and you've got the right temperature, you could put down a layer of scallops, and by the time you're done putting the last one on, you could probably flip the first one you did and then start flipping them all. And then by the time you're done with that, you could probably start pulling them off. But it's just practice. Like being stuck at home and cooking all the time was like there was a point in the pandemic where it was just like all of a sudden my cooking like went exponentially better, just from doing it over and over again and like trying new things, and also investing in good cookware. We had shitty pots and pans for so long, like nonstick, where there's no more nonstick left on it. And we just said, screw it, we're buying a bunch of nice like pots. The Le Creuset Dutch oven has like absolutely changed the way I cook and everything. It seems expensive, but if it's taken care of, it cooks everything you want, and it will last a lifetime.
Wow. Great tip. Not sponsored.
Not sponsored at all. Please, for the love of God, send me free Le Creuset stuff. I will do whatever it takes for that.
All right. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thanks so much. Go ahead and log off.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, that was fun. I love